How to emotionally detach from someone, even if they are family. Stoicism. Have you ever found yourself ensnared in the relentless grip of emotional attachment, leaving you feeling drained and powerless? The great news is that you have the power to change this, and it's more achievable than you might think. Inspired by the timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, we'll unveil the art of emotional detachment, helping you break free from the bonds that tie you down. In this video, we'll explore Stoicism, offering you practical strategies to overcome emotional attachments that cloud your mind. Prepare for a transformative journey toward emotional liberation, achieving clarity, and focusing on what truly matters. If personal growth and emotional independence resonate with you, you've come to the right place. Don't forget to subscribe to Stoic in Your Life and enable notifications so you won't miss any content. Stay until the end of the video for exclusive tips shared only with our dedicated community. Let's embark on this path to discovery and liberation together. One, the power of detachment. Are you seeking freedom from emotional turmoil? Discover the transformative power of detachment through the lens of Stoicism, an ancient philosophy that holds valuable insights even today. As the renowned Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "We suffer not from the events in our lives, but from our judgment about them." Detachment, as the Stoics understand it, is not about turning away from the world, but rather about gaining clarity and focus in navigating life's unpredictable currents. Imagine holding onto several kites in a storm. Each kite represents an emotional attachment, something external that can pull us off course if not handled correctly. Detachment encourages us to loosen these ties, not to abandon what we care about, but to recognize and accept the impermanence and unpredictability of life's circumstances. This approach helps us shift our energy toward what truly matters: our responses, emotions, and decisions. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." The journey of detachment begins with introspection, where we identify areas of overattachment. It requires us to ask, why does this have such power over me? Often these attachments are rooted in fears, insecurities, or a desire for external validation. Facing these truths is challenging, but crucial for personal growth. This self-exploration aligns with the Stoic idea of focusing on what we can control and letting go of what we cannot. Detachment also involves finding joy in activities that provide intrinsic satisfaction, independent of external rewards. Engaging in hobbies, pursuing personal projects, or simply enjoying nature fosters contentment. This aligns with the Stoic pursuit of living in the present moment, appreciating life without being burdened by past attachments or future anxieties. The Stoic philosopher Seneca wisely noted, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." In our modern, fast-paced world, these Stoic principles offer a guiding light for navigating emotional challenges. By detaching from uncontrollable factors, we gain a sense of liberation and resilience. This mindset helps us focus on what we can control, cultivating a sense of peace and inner freedom. The journey of detachment, therefore, is not about disengaging from life, but about engaging with it more fully, with clarity and intention. It's about living a life aligned with our true values, free from the chains of external attachments. By embracing detachment, you can better navigate the ebbs and flows of life, focusing on what truly matters. This Stoic practice isn't about avoiding love or joy, but about recognizing their transient nature and finding strength within yourself. As you apply these principles, remember the wisdom of the Stoics and let it guide you toward a more serene and resilient existence. 2. Understanding attachment. In our human journey, we experience a paradox that lies at the core of our nature. We are beings capable of immense love and deep connections. Yet as we go through life, a subtle but powerful force begins to influence our experiences: our ego. While essential for our individuality, the ego often goes beyond its necessary role, creating attachments that cloud our perception and judgment, ultimately distancing us from our innate essence of love. These attachments, products of the ego, serve as mechanisms for seeking external validation and security, anchoring our identity in transient things, people, or statuses that are inherently unstable. Why, then, do we hold on to these illusions so tightly? Reflecting on this, we uncover that these attachments are attempts to compensate for deeply rooted insecurities and fears, forming a fragile shield to protect our vulnerable inner selves. Recognizing attachments as ego manifestations is the first step toward freeing ourselves from their burdens. This awareness shines as a beacon, guiding us back to our true nature, a return to the love that is our foundation. The key to transitioning from an ego-driven perspective to one centered on love lies in consciously shifting our attitude toward personal value and identity. Instead of seeking approval and security externally, we cultivate self-esteem and self-love that remain strong, regardless of external factors. This shift is incredibly liberating, allowing us to shed fear-based attachments and embrace a life of freedom, abundance, and unconditional love. Picture life as a journey across a vast ocean. Attachments act as anchors, tethering us to fleeting islands, while a love-centered perspective provides sails that let us explore life's infinite possibilities. This freedom, achieved by letting go of fear-based attachments, feels like soaring, an elevation above the ego's limitations toward a horizon of endless opportunities. To illustrate, consider the story of Emily, who was deeply attached to her family's approval. This attachment, driven by her ego's desire for validation, led her to live a life that didn't align with her true desires. Through self-reflection, she realized that her identity shouldn't depend on her family's opinions. By cultivating self-love and shifting her perspective, Emily was able to detach emotionally, allowing her to pursue her passions and live a more fulfilling life. How might you, like Emily, start to recognize and release the attachments holding you back? What internal insecurities might be fueling these attachments, and how can you nurture self-love to address them? Ultimately, understanding attachment is about recognizing the ego's role in creating false security and finding our way back to our core of love. The key takeaway is to cultivate a sense of self-worth that is independent of external factors, enabling us to embrace freedom and explore life's potential without the weight of unnecessary attachments. 3. The illusion of the ego. Navigating the slippery terrain of the ego often feels like wandering through a maze of twisted mirrors and deceptive shadows. This part of our consciousness, complex and layered, can easily shroud us in illusions, whispering deceitful thoughts that make us feel inadequate, needy, or consumed by envy. Such illusions lead us to form unhealthy emotional attachments, prompting us to seek external validation that never truly satisfies but only deepens our internal void. How often have you felt this yearning, only to realize it never brings lasting fulfillment? The true battle, therefore, is not with the ego itself, but with the illusions it creates. It is a struggle to recognize and confront the shadows that imprison us. Victory lies not in denial or resistance, but in acceptance and understanding. These internal voices of doubt and comparison are nothing more than phantoms, powerless, except for the influence we grant them. When we realize this, we can begin to free ourselves from their grip. Can you imagine the freedom that comes with such realization? Building self-confidence and healing our inner wounds is not an act of isolation or self-importance, but rather a process of reconnecting with our essence. It's a reminder that, at our core, we are complete and whole. There's no higher path or worthier destination. Each journey is unique, and each step reflects our inner truth. When we emotionally detach, especially in relationships, we acknowledge this completeness. It's not about renouncing love or connection, but embracing the fullness within us, independent of others' presence or approval. Do you agree that such inner fulfillment can be liberating? This detachment opens us to the universe's abundance, showing that emotional strength comes not from possession or control over others, but from balance, equality, and a shared understanding. Every human we encounter plays a crucial role in our journey. True emotional strength flourishes at the intersection of self-knowledge and empathy, rooted in the understanding that as we navigate life's waters, we are both solitary navigators and part of a vast, interconnected network of relationships. Do you see how empathy and self-knowledge enhance your connections? Reflecting on the teachings of ancient Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, who said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." We can see the importance of focusing inward. When you feel overwhelmed by your emotions or entangled in unhealthy relationships, how often do you pause to reflect on your internal state, rather than external circumstances? Recognizing our inner strength and embracing our completeness allows us to detach from unhealthy emotional ties. Detachment doesn't mean we stop caring about others. Rather, it means we stop letting their opinions or actions dictate our worth or happiness. How might your relationships change if you stopped relying on others for validation? Imagine navigating life's challenges with a sense of inner peace and strength, unshaken by external events or the actions of others. When we shift our focus inward, understanding our worth and cultivating empathy, we find a stronger foundation for meaningful connections. How can you cultivate this inner strength in your own life? The journey of emotional detachment, especially from family members or close relationships, is challenging, yet rewarding. It requires self-reflection, empathy, and a deep understanding of our intrinsic worth. When you embrace this journey, what positive changes might you experience in your relationships and overall well-being? How do you think Stoicism can help individuals emotionally detach from people, even if they are family members? Have you ever experienced a situation where you needed to practice emotional detachment from someone close to you? Leave a comment to share with us about your experience. Four, detachment in practice. Navigating through the complexities of life often requires us to emotionally detach from individuals, even if they are family. Imagine embarking on a journey to master this delicate art, and through the lens of Stoicism, we can chart a path to emotional freedom. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This serves as a powerful reminder that true strength lies within our minds. Implementing detachment in our daily lives is like setting out on an odyssey, leaving behind the familiar shores of comfort in search of growth and authenticity. This journey is akin to steering a ship towards new horizons, with true detachment acting as our guiding star. Our past experiences and relationships, while influential, need not dictate our future course. This sentiment echoes the wisdom of Epictetus, who said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." By focusing on how we respond, we can steer our emotional ship through the mists of our past. One of the biggest obstacles to detachment is overcoming the fear of missing out, or FOMO. In today's culture, which often glorifies being everywhere and experiencing everything, this fear can feel like a strong current dragging us away from contentment. Media representations of happiness often depict it as something just out of reach, perpetuating an endless cycle of chasing an elusive ideal. But as we break free from this cycle, we realize that true happiness lies not in what others depict, but in our personal journey, much like steering our boat through our own waters. Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, advised, It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. By embracing this wisdom, we can free ourselves from chasing after external validations. Stoicism, with its timeless wisdom, invites us to focus on what we can control: our thoughts, actions, and personal growth. It doesn't advocate renouncing worldly pleasures, but rather resizing our perception of value. This philosophical approach encourages us to find contentment in our capacity to grow, love, and overcome. When we redefine happiness on our terms, we engage in a revolutionary act of courage, piercing through the illusions around us. By valuing ourselves independently of external validation, we embrace the full spectrum of life, from joy to sorrow, which are all essential threads in the fabric of existence. Ultimately, detachment is not an end, but a means to a richer, fuller life. It's not about renunciation, but rather about embracing life more deeply and authentically. It enables us to form genuine connections, not only with others, but also with ourselves. As we discover the beauty in imperfections, vulnerability, and impermanence, each moment becomes an opportunity for self-discovery. This aligns with the Stoic principle of living in accordance with nature, appreciating each experience as a step on our personal development journey. In modern life, this means accepting that not everything will go our way, but we can still choose how we respond, finding beauty in our choices and growing stronger through our struggles. 5. The path to happiness. The path to happiness is often misunderstood in our relentless pursuit of joy. We tend to believe that happiness lies in far-off places, the company of others, the accumulation of material possessions, or even in achieving societal recognition. However, true happiness, the kind that stands resilient against life's tempests and flourishes within our hearts, originates from a closer, deeper place, our inner self. This authentic happiness stems from self-confidence and a personal journey toward self-improvement, which form the foundation upon which true joy is built. It's not a rigid structure imposed from outside, but a continuously evolving masterpiece, shaped by introspection, a desire for growth, and the ability to appreciate our own transformations. When we talk about emotional detachment, particularly when it involves family, it's crucial to understand that detachment doesn't mean severing ties or isolating oneself. Instead, it involves fostering a deeper and more sincere connection with ourselves. It's about recognizing that our intrinsic value isn't dependent on the approval or presence of others. This realization is liberating. It doesn't imply indifference, but rather a form of self-love that allows us to feel complete within ourselves, regardless of external circumstances. By embracing Stoic principles, focusing on what we can control and accepting what we cannot, we cultivate a resilient source of happiness. This happiness isn't fragile or conditional. It's sustained, not by external validation, but by our continuous growth and deepening self-awareness. Consider the story of James, a young professional who found himself constantly seeking his father's approval. Despite his achievements, he felt unfulfilled because his father was always critical. Through the teachings of Stoicism, James learned to focus on what he could control, his own actions and responses. He realized that he could never change his father's behavior, but he could change his perspective. By practicing self-reflection and redirecting his energy toward his own growth, James developed a sense of inner peace and confidence. This transformation led him to a place of acceptance, where his happiness was no longer tied to his father's approval. Have you ever found yourself in a similar situation, where your happiness was tied to someone else's opinion? How might focusing on your own growth and self-worth change that? This path, while challenging, leads to a life rich in meaning and fulfillment. When we nurture our personal growth, our lives become works of art, not because they are perfect or free from adversity, but because they are authentic. We open ourselves to the beauty of the world and the contributions of others, yet we don't rely on these elements for our sense of worth or happiness. Instead, we find joy within ourselves. In conclusion, the key lesson here is that true happiness is an inner journey, not an outward quest. By focusing on what we can control and letting go of what we can't, we build a resilient, self-sustaining happiness. This happiness, rooted in self-love and personal growth, is not fragile or conditional, but rather resilient and robust, capable of withstanding life's challenges while embracing its joys. 6. Acceptance of impermanence. Imagine you're listening to a podcast about how to emotionally detach from someone, even if they're family, through the lens of Stoicism. The story begins with Marcus Aurelius, whose profound wisdom echoes through time, urging us to accept the impermanence of life. Stoicism offers a clear understanding of existence. Everything, from fleeting moments to deep connections, is governed by change. Nothing remains static or permanent. Recognizing and embracing this truth allows us to see life as a dance of birth, growth, decline, and renewal. In our relationships, this perspective encourages us to move beyond the illusion of permanence and appreciate the beauty of transient connections. When we acknowledge that everyone in our lives is here temporarily, we start to live each moment with greater presence and depth. The Stoic principle of impermanence isn't about distancing ourselves emotionally, but embracing the natural ebb and flow of people entering and leaving our lives without fear or resistance. How does this idea resonate with you? Does it align with your experiences? Accepting impermanence liberates us from the agony of loss and change. It prepares us to let go not with resignation, but with gratitude for the shared experiences. This outlook changes how we experience relationships, shifting our focus from clinging to them out of fear of loss to valuing them for their essence in the present moment. Impermanence, rather than a source of suffering, motivates us to dive deeper into life and love more freely, appreciating each moment's preciousness. Reflecting on this, how might you embrace impermanence in your own relationships? In seeking true freedom in relationships, we shouldn't chase the illusory security of permanence, but instead focus on experiencing relationships fully and surrendering to life's flow with confidence and love. This acceptance teaches us that in every goodbye, there's a seed of a new beginning, and in every end, the promise of a new horizon. As Marcus Aurelius said, "Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight." How might you use this wisdom to transform your understanding of loss and change? By keeping these principles in mind, you can navigate the complexities of relationships with serenity, understanding that embracing impermanence brings a profound sense of peace and freedom. How can you apply this in your daily life to enrich your relationships and emotional well-being? Congratulations on making it this far, champion of emotional strength. Drop a comment saying, "I am a Stoic," to show your dedication to this journey of self-transformation. Stay tuned, because the journey to inner peace is just beginning. 7. Control and influence. Navigating emotional detachment. Stoic insights for men aged 30 to 65. As men, we often face a whirlwind of emotions and situations that can feel overwhelming, especially when it involves family. But what if there was a way to weather these storms with clarity and strength? The wisdom of Stoicism, particularly from the likes of Marcus Aurelius, offers such guidance. Aurelius, a Roman emperor and philosopher, highlighted a profound truth that can help us distinguish between what we can control and what lies beyond our influence. In the words of Epictetus, another Stoic philosopher, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Have you ever pondered the power of discerning between our actions, thoughts, and emotions, and those of others? Imagine the liberation that comes from understanding that we are the masters of our inner world, while the external world follows its own rules. This is more than mere detachment. It's an invitation to self-improvement, Instead of wasting our energy on things beyond our control, we can focus on building a resilient inner fortress that stands firm against life's inevitable emotional storms. Stoicism encourages us to cultivate emotional stability, which doesn't falter in the face of life's ups and downs. By owning our ability to navigate our thoughts and feelings, we pave the way for a balanced and serene existence, free from the shackles of what lies beyond our grasp. The question then becomes, where are we directing our energies? Are we trying to control the uncontrollable, or are we creating a sanctuary of peace within ourselves? Reflecting on this can guide us toward self-knowledge and tranquility. 8. The virtue of self-sufficiency. Navigating the intricate web of relationships can be challenging, especially when emotional attachments are deeply intertwined with our sense of happiness. Drawing from the timeless wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, let's explore the virtue of self-sufficiency, which provides a path toward emotional freedom and inner peace. This perspective invites you to discover a contentment that arises from within, rather than relying on external factors, including family relationships, for your fulfillment. Imagine for a moment that your peace and happiness are cultivated within the fertile ground of your own being. Here, you plant seeds of wisdom, nurture them with resilience, and harvest emotional autonomy. Self-sufficiency in this context is not about isolating yourself, but rather creating a garden where your needs are met by yourself. This internal focus challenges the conventional belief that fulfillment depends on external factors like relationships, possessions, or status. Stoic philosophy encourages us to build strong internal resources, making us less susceptible to the storms of life. When your well-being is anchored within yourself, the fluctuations of relationships and material life become less capable of disrupting your inner peace. This inward focus doesn't just benefit you individually, it also positively impacts your relationships. Instead of approaching others with a sense of neediness, you come from a place of completeness, creating healthier and more enriching dynamics. Consider the story of Alex, who struggled with an overbearing family relationship that drained his energy. By embracing the Stoic virtue of self-sufficiency, he realized that his happiness didn't have to depend on external validation or approval. Through meditation and introspection, he developed a stronger sense of self-worth which transformed his interactions with his family. Rather than seeking their approval, he approached them with a sense of internal completeness, leading to a healthier relationship. Now, dear listener, here's a question for you. Are you building your happiness on solid internal pillars, or are you floating on the waves of external circumstances? By contemplating how self-sufficiency can manifest in your life, you can turn this abstract concept into a practical approach that enriches your relationships and aspirations. This approach not only helps you emotionally detach when necessary, but also fosters a sense of peace and fulfillment that comes from within. In conclusion, self-sufficiency is a virtue that can significantly improve your emotional well-being. By focusing on building your internal resources, you can navigate the complexities of relationships with grace and serenity, creating a foundation for lasting happiness. 9. The path to understanding. Dear listener, as we journey together down this winding path toward emotional balance, it's worth pondering the timeless wisdom of the Stoics, particularly Marcus Aurelius, who can be our guide in these sometimes tumultuous waters of attachment. Stoic philosophy encourages us to reflect deeply on our emotions, to understand them from a distance, and to dive deeply into their essence, all while acknowledging their fleeting nature and recognizing the control we have over them. Imagine the practice of introspection as a journey through a labyrinth. Each turn brings us closer to understanding our intricate attachments to others and ourselves. By shedding light on the hidden pathways of our feelings, we discern the true nature of our attachments. Is our love built on mutual respect, or is it a rope tethering us to the need for approval and the fear of loneliness? Through deep reflection, We distinguish genuine affection, which enriches our lives, from dependency, which traps us in cycles of dissatisfaction and desire. This realization is the first step toward emotional freedom and an awakening to independence, allowing us to face relationships with maturity and wisdom. As Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This thought aligns perfectly with the Stoic belief in examining our emotions and thoughts, recognizing their transient nature, and choosing how we react to them. Regular self-examination, as encouraged by the Stoics, teaches us not only about the temporary nature of emotions, but also about the power within us to decide how to respond to them. This practice is a powerful tool for freeing ourselves from attachments, guiding us toward growth and self-discovery. How often do we take the time to really examine the threads of our relationships? Through introspection, we can unravel the mysteries of our own hearts and navigate relationships with greater authenticity and freedom. As we reflect on our relationships and emotions, consider this. What can you do today to take a step closer to emotional freedom and a deeper understanding of your attachments? How can you, as a seeker of wisdom, use Stoic principles to better manage your emotional responses? The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "Sometimes even to live is an act of courage." With this courage, we can face our attachments and relationships with newfound strength and clarity. Through Stoicism, we have a celestial map to navigate our attachments. The wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus encourages us to reflect on our emotions, dive deep into their essence, and recognize our power over them. This journey of introspection brings us closer to understanding our attachments and distinguishing between genuine affection and dependency. As we continue this journey, we must remember to reflect on the threads that weave our relationships, embracing introspection to navigate our connections with authenticity and freedom. Thank you for joining us today. I'm truly grateful to have you as a member of our community. Please feel free to share your story or personal impressions. If you're unsure what to say, simply comment, "I am a newbie," if you've just joined us, or "I am Stoic," if you've been with us for a while. Your engagement is not just a sign of your presence. It motivates us deeply. 10. Embracing our social instincts. In a world filled with complex relationships, the delicate art of emotional detachment, even when it involves family, stands as a testament to Stoic wisdom. In the teachings of Marcus Aurelius, the famed Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, we find a pathway to balance that resonates deeply. His reflections provide a unique perspective on how to harmonize our innate social instincts with a detached mindset, guiding us toward richer, more fulfilling connections. The Stoic principle of emotional detachment can initially seem contradictory, especially since humans are inherently social creatures. However, Marcus Aurelius shows us a way to embrace our communal nature while fostering a healthy detachment. The key is not to reject our relationships, but to approach them with a thoughtful and balanced mindset. The paradox lies in the ability to love deeply without becoming overly attached. This balanced approach, akin to a bridge connecting two hearts, combines autonomy with empathy, creating a more authentic connection. To cultivate this balance, Stoicism encourages us to appreciate others as unique individuals, not as mere extensions of our desires or fears. The goal is to form healthy relationships that honor both our need for connection and our respect for individual autonomy. Emotional detachment, therefore, is not about withdrawing but about opening up to meaningful relationships while recognizing our lack of control over others' actions or outcomes. As Epictetus wisely stated, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This mindset empowers us to approach relationships with an open heart, free from the constraints of fear and unrealistic expectations. This balanced approach to relationships invites us to love without possessiveness. It fosters genuine appreciation and a deeper understanding of others as independent beings, each on their own journey. By embracing this perspective, we align with our natural desire for connection while also safeguarding our well-being. The Stoic emphasis on emotional detachment is, therefore, an invitation to cultivate meaningful connections that respect individual autonomy, leading to more harmonious relationships. In modern life, where relationships often become complex and overwhelming, the Stoic principle of emotional detachment offers a refreshing perspective. It allows us to navigate our social instincts while maintaining a healthy balance, enabling us to build relationships that are both meaningful and fulfilling. The advice is simple. Approach relationships with love and empathy while maintaining a sense of autonomy and emotional independence. This approach not only enriches our lives but also fosters more authentic and meaningful connections. 11. Cultivating inner resilience. Building inner resilience is a cornerstone of Stoicism, especially when navigating difficult relationships, even with family. Imagine you're a ship sailing through life, occasionally encountering turbulent storms. How do you prepare to face these inevitable tempests? Stoicism provides a compass and sails to navigate through such challenges. The ancient philosophy teaches us to build a robust emotional core, equipping us to withstand the inevitable storms of life. How does one develop this fortitude, particularly when dealing with challenging family dynamics? One approach is reflecting on past adversities and recognizing how they've shaped your character. This practice, a key Stoic principle, helps build mental resilience and fosters a calm, composed demeanor when life gets tough. Imagine a scenario where a young professional, Alex, frequently clashes with a critical family member. Every holiday gathering feels like a battlefield. Instead of dreading these interactions, Alex applies Stoic exercises, focusing on past challenges they've overcome, and using these as stepping stones to build emotional fortitude. They visualize themselves as a sturdy oak tree, deeply rooted and unwavering in the face of harsh winds. This exercise strengthens their inner resilience, allowing them to remain composed and steady during familial disputes. Alex also learns to balance resilience with compassion, avoiding emotional coldness while still protecting their well-being. This balance, a critical aspect of Stoic practice, ensures that emotional detachment doesn't mean emotional indifference. How might you apply similar exercises in your life? Consider the moments when you faced adversity, both big and small. How did you react? What did you learn about yourself? Reflecting on these experiences can help you understand your inner strength and build upon it. These reflections, coupled with Stoic principles, can serve as a guide for navigating difficult relationships. The beauty of Stoicism lies in its practical application. It's not just about developing a thick skin. It's about cultivating a balanced inner world where resilience coexists with empathy. In embracing this balance, you can navigate challenging relationships without sacrificing your well-being or becoming emotionally cold. It's a delicate dance, but one that can lead to a more peaceful, fulfilling life. The lesson here is clear. Developing inner resilience doesn't mean closing off your heart. It means fortifying it with a mix of strength and compassion. This balance is crucial in maintaining healthy relationships while protecting your mental well-being. How might you apply this in your own relationships, particularly with challenging family members? The answer lies in your ability to build a resilient yet compassionate inner core, ready to face whatever storms may come your way. 12. Finding peace in solitude. In our bustling world filled with constant noise and distractions, the ancient philosophy of Stoicism offers a profound lesson: the value of solitude for achieving inner peace and self-reflection. Imagine a quiet space where you can reflect on your life without interruptions. How often do you find such moments? In this lesson, we'll explore how embracing solitude can help you emotionally detach from challenging relationships, including those with family. It's a topic that's both relevant and powerful, as family relationships can be deeply rewarding yet incredibly complex. Have you ever felt overwhelmed or trapped in a relationship that brings you more pain than joy? Stoicism, with its practical wisdom, offers a pathway to emotional clarity and balance through solitude. This isn't about isolation or avoiding people. Instead, it's about creating space for yourself to breathe and reflect. The great Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." His words remind us that true peace comes from within. How can you create such a retreat for yourself? Solitude allows you to detach from the noise and find the stillness necessary for introspection. Stoic practices like journaling and meditation are excellent tools for this purpose. Have you ever tried writing down your thoughts after a stressful day? Journaling can help you process emotions and clarify your thoughts. Meditation, on the other hand, allows you to focus on the present moment, letting go of past regrets and future anxieties. What might you discover about yourself if you took a few minutes each day for these practices? By learning to find contentment in solitude, you can break free from unhealthy attachments. This doesn't mean you stop caring about your family or friends. Instead, it means developing a healthier relationship with yourself. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus famously stated, "Man is not worried by real problems so much as by his imagined anxieties about real problems." How often do we worry about things beyond our control, especially in relationships? Embracing solitude helps you gain perspective, focusing on what you can control, your thoughts and actions. What if you could foster a deeper understanding of yourself and in turn, improve your interactions with others? Solitude provides the clarity needed for this self-discovery. Through solitude, you learn to value your own company, leading to more balanced relationships with those around you. How might this shift in perspective change your interactions with challenging family members or friends? In a world that's constantly pulling you in different directions, finding peace in solitude is a gift you can give yourself. It allows you to recharge and reset, bringing a renewed sense of clarity and purpose to your relationships. As you reflect on this, what steps can you take today to embrace solitude and enhance your emotional well-being? This exploration of solitude and emotional detachment is not about running away from problems, but rather about facing them with a clear mind and a peaceful heart. The journey toward inner peace is a lifelong endeavor, but it's one that starts with a single step, often taken in the quiet moments of solitude. How will you begin your journey today? 13. Practicing empathy without attachment. Practicing empathy without attachment is an invaluable lesson from Stoicism, a philosophy that invites us to balance our care for others with maintaining our own emotional boundaries. This is particularly relevant when dealing with close relationships, such as family, where emotional entanglements can become overwhelming. Stoicism emphasizes that while it's essential to care for and understand others, it's equally crucial not to become overly attached or lose oneself in their problems. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This profound quote captures the essence of Stoicism's teaching on empathy. Through active listening and perspective-taking, we can be supportive without compromising our well-being. The technique of active listening helps us understand others' viewpoints without being consumed by them. By listening intently, we show empathy while staying grounded in our own emotional space. Perspective-taking, on the other hand, allows us to walk in others' shoes, which fosters understanding while maintaining a sense of inner detachment. These practices are vital in relationships, especially familial ones where emotions can run high. By using these techniques, we create a balance that benefits both parties. This echoes the Stoic belief that we can only control our responses, not external events, which encourages a healthier emotional state. A common challenge in practicing empathy is the misconception that we need to share others' burdens fully to show we care. However, Stoicism teaches that being emotionally over-invested in others' issues can harm both ourselves and the relationship. By focusing on what we can control, our responses and support, we align with the Stoic ethos and foster healthier relationships. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus highlighted this approach, stating, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This aligns with the idea that our reactions, rather than the problems themselves, define our emotional state. Applying Stoic principles to relationships in modern life is crucial for emotional health. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to become overwhelmed by others' issues, especially within families. Stoicism offers practical guidance for maintaining emotional well-being through empathy without attachment. This approach helps us navigate relationships with resilience and serenity. By focusing on what we can control, our responses and boundaries, we build healthier, more balanced relationships. This modern application of ancient wisdom allows us to be supportive without losing ourselves, creating a harmonious balance in our emotional lives. In summary, Stoicism teaches us to practice empathy while maintaining emotional boundaries, ensuring that we care for others without losing ourselves. Through techniques like active listening and perspective-taking, we can be supportive family members without compromising our well-being. This balance, guided by Stoic principles, helps us navigate relationships with resilience and serenity, ultimately fostering healthier connections in our lives. Emotionally detaching from someone, especially when they're family, is one of life's more intricate challenges. It's a process fraught with heartache, but also ripe with potential for growth, and this is where Stoicism, the ancient philosophy, can provide invaluable guidance. Stoicism, which teaches the importance of inner tranquility amidst external chaos, can be a compass guiding you through turbulent emotional waters. When a familial relationship becomes strained or toxic, you might feel tethered not just by blood but by a sense of obligation. The Stoics remind us, however, that true freedom lies in mastering our own thoughts and reactions, not in controlling others. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." To begin, it's essential to understand the nature of our emotional attachment. Often we cling to ideals and expectations rather than the person themselves. The Stoics advocate for recognizing what is within our control and what is not. By acknowledging that we can't change other people, but we can change our perspective, we liberate ourselves from unnecessary suffering. Next, we must examine the role of acceptance in emotional detachment. The Stoics emphasized amor fati, or loving one's fate, as a way of embracing whatever life throws at us. When dealing with difficult family members, accepting them as they are, flaws and all, can free us from the frustration of wishing they were different. This acceptance doesn't mean condoning harmful behavior, but rather acknowledging the reality of the situation. Seneca advises, "Begin at once to live, and count each separate day as a separate life." By approaching each day as a new opportunity, you can let go of past grievances and focus on the present moment. In practicing emotional detachment, it's crucial to develop emotional resilience. The Stoics encouraged building inner strength through mental discipline and self-reflection. Journaling, for instance, was a common practice among Stoics. By reflecting on our thoughts and actions, we can identify patterns and triggers that affect our emotional well-being. This self-awareness enables us to respond more thoughtfully, rather than reacting impulsively. As Epictetus stated, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. By aligning our actions with our desired outcomes, we can better manage our emotions and interactions. Creating healthy boundaries is another vital aspect of detachment. Setting boundaries with difficult family members isn't selfish, it's an act of self-care. The Stoics taught that we should focus on what we can control and let go of what we cannot. By setting clear boundaries, we protect our mental and emotional space, allowing us to interact with others from a place of strength and stability. Marcus Aurelius advised, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." By ensuring that our thoughts and interactions align with our values, we can maintain a sense of peace even in challenging situations. Forgiveness, too, plays a crucial role in emotional detachment. The Stoics viewed forgiveness as a way to release ourselves from the burden of anger and resentment. By forgiving others, we free ourselves from the negative emotions that bind us to them. This doesn't mean ignoring harm or excusing bad behavior, but rather choosing to focus on our own peace of mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." By focusing on our own growth and well-being, we can move beyond past hurts and create a more positive future. Finally, cultivating gratitude can help us detach emotionally. The Stoics believed that focusing on what we have, rather than what we lack, brings inner peace. By practicing gratitude, we shift our focus from the negative aspects of our relationships to the positive. This shift in perspective helps us let go of unrealistic expectations and appreciate what is, rather than what we wish could be. Epictetus taught, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." By embracing gratitude, we can detach from toxic emotional attachments and focus on what truly matters. In summary, emotionally detaching from someone, even if they are family, involves understanding the nature of attachment, accepting reality, building resilience, setting boundaries, practicing premeditation, forgiving, and cultivating gratitude. These Stoic practices can help us navigate the emotional turmoil of difficult relationships, enabling us to focus on what we can control and let go of what we cannot. By embracing these principles, we can find inner peace and strength, even in the face of challenging family dynamics. The lesson is clear. True freedom lies in mastering our own minds and responses, rather than trying to control the uncontrollable. Thank you for tuning in to this video. We hope the Stoic lessons on emotional detachment have been insightful. Subscribe to our channel, Stoic in Your Life, and activate notifications for more content that will illuminate your personal growth journey. If you found this helpful, leave a like and share it with those who might benefit from these strategies for emotional freedom. Your comments are valuable to us, so share your experiences and how you plan to apply these teachings in your life. Join us as we continue to pursue wisdom and transformation. Until next time.